Blessings Bakhanyiselwa. On this video, I want us to explore the similarities between Buddha, Shaka Zulu, and Credo Mutwa. I've spoken about this a little in one of my videos where we were talking about the elephant cloth. So the first similarity that we are going to explore revolves around the prophecies, right? The prophecies around their birth. All these people had prophecies associated with their births. First of all, Buddha's birth was prophesied by a sage. He told his parents that the child that is coming is either going to be a great king or a great sage. His father wanted him to be a great king, a great conqueror, but Buddha became a great sage. With Shaka Zulu, the prophecy was about the coming of a great Zulu king, and that Zulu king was Ushaka. Then there's Credo Mutwa. The prophecy around his birth was in his name. When he was born, he was called Vusamazulu because he used to cry a lot as a baby, mostly at night when everyone was sleeping. So they said, Lomtwana, uvusa amazulu. This child is awakening the sleeping Zulus. So that's how the name Vusamazulu came about. And this name carried a prophecy. Also, when Credo Mutwa was a baby, his own mother wanted to kill him because she was being shamed for having a bastard child. One day, Credo's grandmother, Sikowe, actually found her as she was about to stone her own child. But she stopped her and said to her, "Why do you seek to destroy this child? What if he is going to make the Zulus great again, like another bastard child that once made the Zulus great before?" So this shows us that Credo Mutwa also had a prophecy associated with his birth. From the name he was given at birth to the incident that happened with his mother and grandmother, right? Buddha, Shaka, and Vusamazulu, Credo Mutwa, all these three people were born into royal families. Buddha was a prince. Shaka was also a prince of the Zulus. And also Vusamazulu was also born into the Mutwas, an ancient lineage of royalty and priesthood. So these were royal people. And in growing up, we see a connection between Shaka and Vusamazulu. Both these people had similar experiences in their early years. They were treated badly because they were born out of wedlock. In other words, they were bastards. And in the old tribes, when you were a bastard, you were treated badly. You were ridiculed, insulted, beaten, and most of this treatment will be experienced by the mother and the child. This is exactly what happened with Nandi and Ushaka. Also with Vusamazulu and Unomabunu, his mother. They grew up with that kind of treatment. So they had like a similar kind of childhood trauma, if we may say. This is the connection between Shaka and Vusamazulu. Then there's also this weird connection between Shaka and Buddha. You see, Buddha was born in a tribe called the Shaka tribe or the Shakya tribe. That is why he was called Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha actually means the great sage of the Shaka tribe. But if we were to look at the word Shakyamuni in terms of Zulu, it just makes things, it makes things a lot more weird because Shakyamuni Buddha would mean great man Shaka Buddha or simply Mr. Shaka Buddha. In Bantu language, Muni means man, a man. It's a title for a man like Mr. or even Master, you know. So Shakyamuni can be interpreted into Master Shaka. Remember, Buddha was the prince of the Shaka tribe. The old people would sometimes have the tendency, well, they had the tendency to name themselves after their king. And when Shaka became king of the Zulus, his people would have also been called the Shaka tribe because he was the king of that tribe, just like the name Zulu. Zulu was actually a person's name. He was a king who founded the Zulu tribe. Mxhosa was also a person's name, and Mxhosa was a person who founded the Xhosa tribe. So we have this weird connection between the words Shaka and Shakyamuni that connects Shaka and Shakyamuni Buddha. Another connection between Buddha, Shaka, and Vusamazulu is that these three people did not only have a prophecy attached to them, but they were also able to see the future. Buddha prophesied the future of the world and his return to this world. Shaka Zulu prophesied about the future of the Zulus and colonialism. Credo Mutwa, well, we all know that he had many prophecies. He made a lot of prophecies that came true during his lifetime. Things like the invention of cell phones, 9/11, June 16, etc. So all these people actually prophesied about the future. All three of them had the ability to see into the future. While still on the subject of prophecy, when Buddha was born, his father wanted him to be a great conquering king. Since the prophecy said that Buddha was either gonna be a great king or a great sage. His father never wanted him to be a great sage. Instead, he did everything in his power to make sure that Buddha will grow up to be a great king. As a result of all this, Buddha turned out to be a great sage. Shaka, on the other hand, also had a prophecy around his birth, but his father never wanted him to rule. He did everything in his power to make sure that Shaka doesn't take the throne. As a result, Shaka took the throne by force and became a great king. With Credo Mutwa, when his father was told that he was supposed to be initiated as a Sangoma, he refused to allow it. His father did everything he could to make sure that he doesn't become a Sangoma. But ultimately, Credo Mutwa became a High Sanusi. So do you see how there's this connection about how they had to overcome similar challenges? And all these challenges were posed specifically by their fathers. On the other hand, there's also the thing about the elephant. We can say that all these three people are actually connected to the elephant, and they have the elephant as a spirit animal. As initiates, we can say that all these three people belong to the mystery of the elephant cloth, which is this cloth right here. So if you don't really know what the mysteries of this cloth are all about, you can watch a video I made on this. And on that video, I also mention a bit about this connection that we are talking about right now. So these are the elephant cloth initiates. These are the initiates who are called Izazi and Abapati Bomlando, who are the spiritual custodians of the tribe. Buddha was connected to the elephant, Shaka was connected to the elephant, and Credo Mutwa was also connected to the elephant. The cartoons that you see here are actually based on a true story about Buddha. He once had an encounter with a raging elephant that was known to be very dangerous and violent. But Buddha managed to calm the animal down through his inner peace, such that even the great elephant was humbled. The same is said to have happened with the story of Shaka, right? So the same thing happened, a similar thing happened to Shaka. It is said that he once encountered a great elephant in the bush at his young age. And because of who he was, the elephant was humbled by his presence. Some stories even say that Shaka's mother, Nandi, used to travel from village to village using an elephant. And yes, elephants were used as modes of transportation, even in the not so olden times of Africa. Credo Mutwa, on the other hand, we see him wearing an elephant cloth in this video. Right, and this is like the most obvious sign, especially where ancestral cloths are involved. But also, in his early age, he encountered a Hindu guru, Guru Patal, who was also a shopkeeper. And so one day, Credo Mutwa saw a statue of Ganesh. This is a Hindu elephant god. He was taken away by this statue. It was a little figurine, rather. And he asked the guru, "What is this?" And the guru told him that it was Ganesh, a Hindu god of wisdom. And Credo Mutwa said that he went back home and duplicated the statue. At that time, he was about 6 to 8 years old. Imagine. So all of these people were very much connected, to the elephant. Thus, they are connected with the mysteries of this cloth. All of them were Izazi, the spiritual leaders of their tribes. If Buddha would have attained his enlightenment while he was a king, he would have played the role of a spiritual leader and the king of the Shaka tribe. In his own right, Shaka was also a spiritual leader of his people. We also have, we have this story of Ushaka, where it is said that he once tested all of the sangomas of among the Zulus, right? He tested all of the sangomas of his tribe to see who was a true sangoma, a true seer, and a false seer, right? And then he then got rid of all the false seers. This is a crude way of doing things, yes, but it also shows us that, this spiritual side of Ushaka. Remember, the Isazi is the custodian of all the various types of initiates, and therefore he had to make sure that every Sangoma, every Nyanga, every healer, every Kobela, etc., is up to standard. So it is the role of the Isazi to test each and every one of these initiates. And when Shaka was testing these seers, he was basically taking the role of the spiritual leader, the Isazi, the spiritual leader of the people. In this way, We also do see Shaka playing the role of a king and the role of the spiritual leader, both roles. Credo Mutwa was also Isazi. He was the custodian of the Zulu tribe. If he had become president of South Africa, he would have played both the role of the president or a king and the role of the spiritual leader of the people. Right? So, what I'm saying in all this is that these three people could have played both the role of the physical leader and a spiritual leader of the people. And in some ways, all three of them were both. Shaka, Buddha, and Vusamazulu were born in royal families. All three of them had the characteristics of a leader. Buddha was next in line for the throne, but instead he chose enlightenment. Buddha was expected by his father to expand his empire through the sword, but instead he chose to expand his father's empire through enlightenment. Shaka was also prophesied to expand his father's empire, and indeed he chose the spear. Credo Mutwa writes that he was once instructed by his guides, Amarava, to overthrow the apartheid government back then. They even gave him weapon designs and warriors to back him up, but he refused. He was supposed to overthrow the government and become president of South Africa, but he refused. He was supposed to become the first black president of South Africa. So rather, he chose enlightenment. He chose to overpower the government through enlightenment. Remember, there was a prophecy about him, right? About him being the savior of the Zulu people. So in this case, Buddha and Credo made similar choices. Even as initiates, they traveled a similar path. Credo Mutwa was initiated firstly by his grandfather, and then he went out to different tribes seeking for the seven great truths of Africa. Buddha also went out of his home with the sole purpose of seeking for enlightenment, seeking for initiation, just like the elephant goes around sniffing for food and water. As a result, he was initiated into many different schools before he finally attained his enlightenment. So, do you see the similarities? In all of this, Bakanyiselwa, I hope you do see this mysterious connection between Buddha, Shaka, and Credo Mutwa. It's a very weird connection. I mean, Credo and Buddha, they might make sense, but Shaka just makes everything a bit weird. I know, but when you take a closer look at these three people, you find some very interesting coincidences. But since we are initiates and we don't really believe in coincidences, we can only say that these are the many wonders of being. These are the many wonders of the spirit. There is certainly something deep here, Bakayise. Otherwise, we have come to the end of our video for today. We do hope that you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and do share. There's a comment section below for anyone who wants to add on to this, or if you want to share your thoughts, anything, you are welcome. For now, we can only say Ndawe.